morning, children. Today I'm going to start with a new chapter, The Enemy, from the book The Vistas book. And this chapter is written by Paul S. Buck, and it talks about the two important feelings in human heart. One is of loyalty, one is of human compassion. Now, this is basically a story which is based at having a background of a war going on. We all know that Japan and America, they are arch rivals since ages, and you all must be knowing the historical background that Hiroshima and Nagasaki, they were two big cities of Japan which were completely devastated and destroyed by the American atom bombs. So the two arch rivals, I can give an example. We talk about India and Pakistan. These are two countries which are arch rivals. Likewise, Japan and America, they're arch rivals. So the background is of a war going on between the arch rivals, Japan and America. And there's a doctor named Dr. Sadao. Now we need to understand that Dr. Sadao is a die-hard nationalist. He loves his country. And the historical background of this war is very much deep in his heart. But he's a doctor. He completed his education of medical science from America. All his teachers were Americans. And over there, when he was studying medical science, he took a pledge that when he would practice as a doctor, it would never make a difference whether the patient belonged to this country or that country. As a doctor, the first duty would be to treat the ailing patient. Now, this story talks about the time when Dr. Sadao and his wife, Hannah. Now we need to understand, Hannah, she also completed her education at America. They both met, they were in love, and they got married. Now this is very important to tell you over here, children, that Dr. Sadao had a lot of attraction towards Hannah, but he never proposed her until unless he came to know that Hannah belonged to Japan. Why so? Because the father of Dr. Sadao was a die-hard patriot. Now this story, in the beginning of the story, we come to know that there are a few characters: Mr. Sadao, Hannah, wife of Mr. Sadao, Tom, the prisoner of war, the general, who is the army general of Japan at the time. Then we have the maid, Yumi, who is again a great patriot, and we have other servants of the house. Now how the story starts. Dr. Sadao was just taking a walk near the sea beach, and he saw some moving picture of a man on the seashore. He tried to see who the person was. He went near, brought out that body, and by looking at the hat of the person, by the uniform of the person, he was able to make out that the person belonged to the American army. He was a prisoner of war who had fled away and was there completely unconscious, and he was having a lot of bruises. He was wounded at different places. Dr. Sadao immediately took help of his wife, who was along with him, and they brought that body to their residence. Now, the first thought which came to Dr. Sadao's mind was that that person who was wounded, lying there on the seashore, was an American. An American means the person was from the American army. He was in a conflict of thoughts, to be or not to be, to save the patient or not. And then all of a sudden, he took a decision that he, being a doctor, it is his pious duty to save the patient first. He, along with the help of Hannah, he took that patient to his home. He treated the patient. It took him 2-3 days. And in the meanwhile, because the war was going on, I told you in the very beginning, the story has a backdrop, the war was going on between Japan and America. Now, when Dr. Sadao is treating that patient, 2-3 days took him to treat and make him perfectly well. One thought was there in his mind, that whether he was going against his nation, Was he going against his patriotic thoughts? Was he doing something wrong? But then he convinced himself that between these two conflicting concepts of being a doctor, duty of saving a patient, on the other hand, he was a die-hard patriot. And we see that at the end of the story, Dr. Sadao was able to take a decision that it will be the first duty of a doctor to save the patient, and he being a patriot, he fulfilled that duty also. He himself went to the general of the army and confided him that there was a prisoner of war at his residence. He knew in his heart to heart that the general needed his services and would never arrest him. When we come to the end of the story, we see that Dr. Sadao, being a very kind-hearted human, he gave that American prisoner of war all the eatables, food, a lot of water, and asked him to go away with the help of a small boat to a nearby deserted island. And he helped him to go away from there. So, what do we understand at the end of the story? That it is the victory of humanity above all other thoughts and concepts. Thank you.